a Java Community Manager working for OTN, and I'm joined by Karl-Henrik Nilsson. How are you doing, Karl-Henrik? Or is KH fine?
Yeah, Kish, fine. I'm doing really well. I just had my session. It went extraordinarily well, so lots of great feedback and lots of happy
I hope
people.
I'm doing as well as you are after my session this afternoon.
I'm sure it will be.
Cool. So what was the topic of your presentation?
The topic
here
of
at
my
Øredev?
the topic of my presentation were reverse engineering, hacking your home, reverse engineering wireless protocols. So we discussed how you can use relatively simple computer software, computer hardware to look at the transmission protocols of simple home products and reverse engineer them to use them for your own products and your own stuff.
Nice. So, like, what were some examples of devices, like, power switches or?
So my reason for doing this, my example that I have in my talk is I have a car and I live in Sweden, so you need a car heaters.
Got it.
So I demonstrated how you reverse engineer a temperature sensor, like one of those metrology stations that stays outside, to figure out the temperature. And then if the temperature is below a specific amount of degrees, it will turn on a power switch, one of those Nexa kind of like remote power switches. But you couldn't do that with existing hardware back then, so I kind of figured out the protocols and just made my system pretend to be the remote control. And I demonstrated.
So what did the protocol turn out to be when you actually hacked in your particular case?
So
what was it communicating with?
In my particular case, it was a binary stream, which was with inverted binary ones and zeros. So it's very, very simple to reverse engineer. And in my experience, it's actually very, very easy to reverse engineer all the 433 megahertz things. It's extremely common in our homes because there's.
So is it using like a serial like protocol, or it was just sending like binary data across?
Just binary data. Almost all of these use binary data. Just straight up binary data for the values, for their addressing, all that stuff.
Okay, just like a single data wire.
Yeah, exactly.
Sending the information.
Yeah.
Yeah, so relatively primitive, but probably fairly efficient.
Fairly efficient, and like you said, very primitive. So it suits very well for anybody who's like, oh, I want to get started. I want to learn how to kind of like reverse engineer stuff. It's a very good place to just start and look at electronics and things like that. So
what do they transmit a specific speed or baud rate or?
Yeah, they do. So I use an oscilloscope, or actually I use a sound card and Audacity in my demonstration because
to listen to
and figure out the signal speed. So I wanted to demonstrate that you do not actually need to know that.
Yeah, got it.
Like normally I would have used a logic analyzer because anybody that saw the talk that felt like, okay, I want to try this.
Got it.
So I demonstrated it using a receiver, a sound card, and Audacity, that you can do it very simply with just this stuff. So
yeah, that probably works reasonably well up to a certain speed.
Oh yeah.
And then you might have trouble following the binary bits.
Yeah, maybe you can't have very high speeds. Then you're stopped. Then you're gonna need a logic analyzer and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But
that's pretty cool. And I think this is an interesting topic because it fits into the larger picture of the Internet of Things, which is a kind of a growing industry trend.
Absolutely. I'm actually really happy to see the like how many people are here talking about things like the analytics of data. They're actually like doing things with all the data stuff, because previously it was just us nerds talking about all the hardware stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can do this with hardware, and that's not really interesting because what you actually would like to have is all the benefits. But yeah, this fits very well in because in a lot of the times people will not have access to a specific site or something like that, but there will be a sensor that you can actually look at and talk to and see what the data is. And within the thing, it's all about data.
Yeah, and when you have a bunch of different sensors all contributing constant streams of continual data, then you get quite a lot of different sensor data to analyze and put into something meaningful.
Exactly.
So good use for all the big data technologies and cloud-based storage systems and all the different things which folks are developing for other purposes.
Absolutely. You have so many also providers right now. I mean, like you have IBM Bluemix, you have the Azure IoT suite, you have Amazon, you have your Oracle has one, right?
Yeah, we're playing as well. We have an Oracle IoT solution.
So I mean, like all the big players. I mean, even HP, I think, was starting to developing something. Like Intel is in on it. So like everybody's doing kind of like their own cloud solution. So there's so much to choose from right now. But that's kind of like the real Internet of Things, you know.
So digging in a little bit deeper, once you have all this like automated devices and data flowing around, what's the security risk for folks, especially like in a home setting?
Well, in a home setting, it's actually very dangerous. We actually found out when I did this talk at I think it was in Poland,
Yeah.
and one of the security experts came up to me and he talked to me about, I always wondered how they did this, and then he told me about a case where some burglars had been driving around in a van and just analyzing people's remote controls for their different wireless devices and just driving around afterward, turning off the lights. So, like, if people didn't turn the lights back on, because if you turn on the lights, you're going to be like, oh, there was a bug. Let me just turn on the lights.
Yeah.
But if you actually turn off the lights and nobody actually turned them on, they knew that nobody was home. So they just had a forerunner driving, and then just a couple of other cars that was just emptying out houses.
Wow.
So this was
So
actually
just
quite
patrolling the neighborhood, figuring out which people are not home.
Yeah, but it can do it in so high speed because all they did was shut up the light, wait for somebody to turn it on again,
Yeah.
and then we just mark down the address, and the people that came afterwards, if the light was still off, well, nobody's home.
So were those like lighting systems using like some sort of RF remotes or controls, or?
Yeah, they have found people that they actually hacked. These people were fairly advanced. They did it with both the RF systems, but also with the wireless systems that used by Zigbee.
Got it. So they could basically, any automated lighting system you had inside your house, they could take advantage of. Probably they could also pop your garage at the same time.
Yeah, there's a blog post right now about people who figured out how to solve the rolling key problem.
Oh yeah, a lot of the garage systems use rolling keys for the security, so they've hacked that as well.
There's a good algorithm, and they figured it out. So we're probably, I hope that we in the IoT system are going to have to step up our game.
Yeah.
Like, probably cloud service solutions, kind of like you really need to go up there and do some sort of token-based authentication, like, yes, it's really my device, I have the certificate, because that's probably where we're going to go if we're going to be able to do some real security. Because right now it seems to be quite easy to crack and hack.
Yeah, unfortunately. Even a lot of the devices which they sell, they're constantly upgrading the firmware because there's exploits or hacks or underlying bugs in the libraries which they're using.
Yeah, I actually read this morning that the top spam server for 2013 were smart bathroom scales, because somebody hacked the updating channel and was able to actually just upload a custom firmware, so they would also be a spam server.
Wow. So your morning bathroom scale could be routing spam.
Actually part of a bot network, something like that.
Yeah, a bot network of spam clients.
Yeah.
Taking over the world. That's kind of scary.
That is kind of scary. But it's something that we as an IoT community needs to start and think about. And I guess some of the smarter people really are.
Yeah. So for folks who want to get started with doing a little bit of their own hacking, what are some resources or a good place for them to get started?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I really like Hackaday, because I like projects. I really want to do like really cool projects. So Hackaday is for me like, it's like where I go every morning is to see all the new, what do people write, what do people do, because you can always find like projects there that you kind of want to do something similar, and people are really good at putting the code on GitHub, and I use these services, and you can do the same, and they're also always very willing to share. So I think Hackaday is a good place to start.
Okay, yeah. So it's a good place to get some project ideas, maybe find some small projects you could...
Yeah, and see what hardware people are using, and kind of find some people to ask on Twitter or stuff like that.
Cool. Any other future conference plans for you? Anywhere else you're going to be speaking in the short term?
Yeah, I'm going to be at, let's see now.
Well, which country?
Yeah, Sweden. I'm going to be in Stockholm for, I actually remember the conference right now. It just slipped my mind. I'm tired after
Maybe
5 days of conference.
JFocus?
No, it's not a Java conference. It's a .NET actually.
Okay.
Svetug. Sorry, yeah, Svetug.
Sveto.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to be there for in February. So that's my next one. I guess it's going to be some Christmas hackathons and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. So you might have some exciting things to share for that conference.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, it's good chatting with you, Karl-Henrik, and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference here in Malmö, Sweden.
Thank you. It's been lovely.